thrown our way. Today I'm going to have a look at my first lineup for Game Week 3, discuss some potential transfers, who I'm looking to buy and who I'm looking to sell. Cough, cough, Christopher and Kunku, you are definitely leaving my team this week.
Yeah, you're
So we'll
leaving mine too, brother.
A first look at the lineup and some potential transfers for this week and the next few weeks as well.
I don't know what to do, really. Let's have a look at what Harry's saying.
What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, 1,000 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you're new around here as well. And today we are having a look at some Game Week 3 first transfer plans. Apologies, this video is a little bit late, and apologies if my voice sounds a little bit croaky this morning. I've been at a wedding for some very close friends over the weekend, and I've just got back and I'm sitting down to record this video. Game Week 2 went pretty well for me. Got a small green arrow from 700k to 600k, 606k I am now. Was pretty happy with that. There were a couple of good returns from there.
I'm at 1-7.
Goal for Smith Rowe. Of course, the Haaland
I thought
captaincy.
I'd done alright,
I didn't play the triple captain, and anyone who watched the deadline stream knew I was just nowhere near it. It wasn't really on radar for me. I know he got this hat trick, and on paper it looks like a great decision now. And if you went for it, congratulations on your 17-point triple captain. I still scored 80 points this week, even without triple captain, which I think is pretty good. All of my defenders returned, and yeah, Smith Rowe in there, Jota with an assist, Saka with points as well. It was Christopher Nkunku and Chris Wood the sort of main disappointments for me. Chris Wood, I'm happy to give one more week because he's got Wolves at home. We saw how many goals they've just conceded to Chelsea, and then Nkunku didn't even start, and Chelsea went and scored 6 goals. So what that but yeah, on the triple captain,
that was painful.
I've got it later down the line, but of course, if I knew he was going to score a hat trick, I absolutely would have played it, and there's no doubt about that. Looking at my team and potential transfers that I'm looking to make going into Game Week 3, the first thing I'm being asked a lot about is Dean Henderson in goal, and we'll talk about a few goalkeepers that I do have my eye on. Absolutely not impressed with Crystal Palace defensively. I think going forward, although they're not scoring goals, I still quite like them, and we'll talk about Eze in a moment. Henderson, I'm not that fussed on, and I do think they look weak defensively. If Mark Gay was to go to Newcastle this week, which is looking less and less likely, that would be a massive, massive red flag and might even force me to sell him this week. Again, I don't love making goalkeeper transfers early on in the season, but watching those Crystal Palace goals get conceded every single week, I'm just certain that they are going to concede goals in pretty much every single game at the moment. Yeah, that's definitely one that I'm looking at. Defense, on the other hand, I am absolutely happy with it. I don't think I plan on making a defensive transfer for the next 4 or 5 weeks at a minimum.
I feel like that.
To get injured, I'm pretty happy with the depth I've got. Johnson now, he picked up an assist in Game Week 2 and has a fantastic run of fixtures, and he's just sat last on my bench. This week we plan on benching Pedro Porro in favour of Robinson, Trent and Gabriel. All of these returned in Game Week 3. I benched Gabriel, but Robinson got an assist, Trent got a clean sheet, and Porro got a clean sheet as well. I am wondering a little bit if Trent is worth the 7 million. We haven't had attacking returns yet. He does need to start adding them to his game if he's going to be worth 7 million. If not, you could cover him with a Van Dijk.
I don't know, 7 million if you keep it clean sheets is still good. 6 points,
so
I would take that.
Trent is fine. I'm very happy with my defence. The only potential change I look at in defence is just...
At the end of the day, I appreciate that Trent usually gets assists as well and stuff like that. The likelihood is when he doesn't get a clean sheet, he's probably going to get an assist, right? That's just his game. If I had a 7 million midfielder that was getting 6 points every fucking week, I would be happy. So I think he's probably going to be a mainstay for quite some time.
Trent is worth the money, but at the moment I'm very happy with the 5 defenders I've picked. Into midfield, Saka I'm happy with, but I do look at the likes of Salah and now Palmer and wonder about them. But I'm pretty happy with Saka. Like, he's definitely not a priority sell. He's maybe a monitor at the moment because I see some others who might be a little bit more explosive. Jota I'm still really happy with. He's focal to Liverpool's attack at the moment. Yeah, he only plays 70-75 minutes, but he can still do the damage in that time. And he's not massively been outscored by Salah that much for the price difference that they are. Smith Rowe, really happy. The fixtures look great. Morgan Rogers as well, we'll talk about. The fixtures are great, and his performance against Arsenal in Game Week 2, despite no returns, very, very impressed with him. Christopher Nkunku, of course, absolutely not impressed. Of course, he played on Thursday. I did say that if he started on Thursday, I would consider transferring out. And then he only played 60 minutes, and I thought that might be enough for him to start. And of course, it wasn't. So my worries were there, but I didn't act on it. And to be honest, the only player I would have made the transfer for was Eze, and he only scored 2 as well. But I might make that transfer still anyway. But we'll talk about potential Nkunku replacements a lot in this video. Haaland up front, who's currently got the County armband. Isak against Spurs. Now, Isak is another one. Only an assist for him so far this season. Not that impressed with Newcastle as a whole as well.
Yeah,
We'll absolutely
same.
be keeping an eye on him. I'll probably keep him for this week, but someone like a Havertz, someone like a Dominic Slanky are definitely on radar. Now, Ollie Watkins is the other one. The only issue with Watkins is he's 9 million and he hasn't looked that great. He hasn't really been sort of looking fully fresh and sort of scoring goals.
He hasn't. If we see some of the highlights that Watkins has made, he has two big misses in his last game. But the fact that he was getting into those positions anyway, he's going to start scoring soon, surely.
And that sort of stuff. He missed a couple of very big chances against Arsenal. And another day if they go in, but he doesn't feel fully up to speed at the moment. So I'll probably hold on to Isak for another week or two, but I am watching him very closely. And then Chris Wood, they are linked with Nketiah, but those links are dying off a little bit. And they've got Wolves at home this week. Yes, he didn't, do that well in game week 2. He scored in game week 1. I do plan on holding him. And if they don't sign Nketiah before the end of the transfer window, he might end up being a longer term hold because it does feel like Wood is first choice to start, and they use Taiwo Awoniyi, who is an injury risk if they play him too many minutes, is the impact sub. So I don't mind that. They have some nice fixtures coming up. Next week they play Liverpool and I can bench him. So I'm still pretty happy with how my team is lining up. And Kunku is probably the only one that I look at who's a major issue for me. Henderson is also a concern. And then there are some other players that I like the look.
Okay, so me and this guy here, we've got a very similar team. All right. Henderson as well. Originally, I was going to go out Ariola, but I weren't sure because of West Ham. If we're going to be hit and miss, obviously we kept a clean sheet against them, so that would have been the better option so far. Alexander Arnold. The idea of these two was to cover Salah, Saliba, Pedro Porro, Robertson. Fulham are quite attacking and some nice starting fixtures. Pedro Porro looked good in general. They got a couple of tough fixtures, and now Saliba. Saka is no Arsenal cover. Eze was just on the radar. He was playing well. More of a follower pick, if I'm honest. Diego Jota, again with the Trent pick. João Pedro, one of the cheap striker in, best 5.5 that you could have, started and scored. Isak, high owned at the time, and Haaland just captain option for the next 2 or 3 weeks, right? And then, Nkuku, cheap. Winks, so cheap, don't really care about him. And Johnson was the idea of that. And he got an assist. Obviously, I didn't get the assist, but got some nice fixtures. So I'm kind of looking at this, and I'm going, okay, Fulham, Ipswich, Newcastle, Spurs, Brighton, Arsenal. What's old? I definitely want Nkuku out. But who would I get him in for? I also have 2 free transfers, which then makes me think, who do I... Okay, yeah, just slow down. Who do I get about 4? He dropped in price last night, but I don't really care. Not a massive fee well on that. A lot of people have gone Makiwake. I think he's highly transferred in. It's not the highest XG you'll ever come across. 3 goals, didn't play City. I still think he's a risk. Palmer, obviously too expensive. He's too expensive. You could go Luis Diaz, go for 3. Liverpool, they've looked really good. Did you have Man United next? Probably not keen. De Bruyne, obviously too expensive. And then, I mean, you could get potentially Matoma in. Obviously, I would need to do another transfer to get someone out. I don't know at the moment. I'm happy with the defence. The goalkeeper's shit, but I wouldn't be able to do it because it would be 4.3 or 4.4, so that ain't going to work. All the premiums are killing it, so it's tricky on that one. Right now, my next one will potentially be Isak. I don't think they've looked amazing, personally. But who is the midfield I could get in? I just have no idea right now. If I have a look, goals expected. I actually do not just that. We'll do goal involvements. Bruno's up there. Can't afford. This is kind of interesting. I mean, he's got 2 shitty fixtures coming up next, but they do have Everton next. Hey, that's not bad, I own 2.2. Got 5 and an 8, so he's clearly on form. He could easily fit in. I wouldn't even have to do. He's like, yeah, I could give him another week with that transfer. Possibly. Is he top midfielder, actually? Yeah. You could do Smith Rowe as well. I just don't like he's hardly playing. And his XG's not as good. How's Fulham's fixtures? They've got Ipswich, West Ham. I think they'll score against us. Ipswich, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest. They've got nice fixtures, you know. This one's like a one game week and then I'll have to stop. But could be an option. Because I don't really want to do 2 transfers if I can. Really, personally.
Of course, Cole Palmer, Madueke did well, and a few of the other forwards that I'm looking at. But Nkunku feels like the big one, and I'm sure him and Henderson are probably the reason you're watching this video. So let's have a look at some potential changes for me this week. So just to start off by having a look in goal, there are 3 goalkeepers I'm really looking at, one at each of the price points, 4.5, 5 and 5.5. If I had the money, David Raya would of course be the obvious move. And when I talk about Nkunku replacement,
not interested in goalkeepers. Let's have a look at forwards.
So up front, I spoke about both Isak and Chris Wood as potential transfers out over the next few weeks. I've mentioned Watkins. I need to see him being up to speed a little bit more before I go and spend 9 million on him. I also don't really have a route to him. I could go Isak to Watkins this week. That is something I've considered, but I'm not sure it's a transfer I'm going to force given how Newcastle do like to score goals against Spurs. Chris Wood as well, I plan on keeping this week, but I do have a few forwards that I'm looking at.
Did Wissa do anything in the last game? I think they kept a clean sheet, no? The Liverpool. They probably shouldn't have. Also a bit limited on minutes. That is really not good. Okay, fine. That's not fine. That's awful. So I wouldn't consider him right now. That is awful.
Over the next few game weeks. So Watkins, I want to see a little bit more from. The other one is Dominic Solanke, who's not on this list, and of course
I think forwards wise,
from game week 5 onwards, though, the pictures look really nice.
No one in mind, but I'm really keen on Nkunku.
And then 2 midfielders. Probably the most important part of this video is trying to find an Nkunku replacement. So I have 6.9 million to spend on a midfielder at the moment. So just to clarify, I technically can't afford Eze at the moment, but Eze is predicted to fall in price tonight on Monday, if not probably Tuesday, because he's blanked twice, and I do still quite like him. It would also help with my benching decision because I'd buy him, probably bench him against Chelsea.
I watched the Eze West Ham Palace game, right? I watched Eze. He hit the bar. Yeah, he hit the crossbar. There was also, I think he was it potentially an potential assist for someone when they hit the post. I think they were very, very unlucky, and we were lucky to keep a clean sheet. I watched the previous game with Eze as well, and I think he hit the post on the bar. So for me, he's a keep right now.
Chelsea, and then he can come in for Leicester at home, Man United at home, Everton away in the next 3 after that. Like, they have some really nice fixtures. He has been really unlucky not to get returns. 0.54 XGI per 90 is a really, really solid sort of start to the season for him. Of course, no returns, and it is just that sort of, is he worth 7 million when you do have some slightly cheaper assets who are returning points? But I absolutely think Eze is still on radar. Once he drops in price as well, I don't expect him to drop 2 or 3 times. So once he goes down to 6.9, I can afford him again. And I do like the fixtures coming up after that Chelsea game. But Chelsea are still leaking chances. He probably would be on my bench though if I bought him this week. Next up is the obvious move that I know a lot of you have done, which is just switch Chelsea players and go to Madueke of Chelsea. The fixtures are so good, and if I do sell Nkunku and not having any part of that Chelsea attack for the next 5 fixtures does feel like a massive concern for me. However, agreed. I've already been bitten once by buying the wrong Chelsea attacker and the minutes not being there. After a hat-trick, it's very difficult to see Madueke getting benched, and I absolutely don't think that's going to be the case. But is it possible that one of the next 5, maybe he misses out, potentially? Are Chelsea going to score 6 goals over the next 5 games? Probably not.
Okay, next thing to consider. Chelsea are looking to play on Thursday night. It will be interesting to see what the lineup is. If Madueke gets benched, Palmer gets benched. They're not playing a big side. They won 2-0 last game, so I would expect a strong lineup. If someone like Nkunku starts in that game, I think that gives me pretty much. I'm getting McAway in. If he starts in that game, then he probably won't come in. Um, I think that's how I would look at it with that one. So if I did a short list right now, yeah, we'll add him in. But it all depends on Thursday. So I have to hold, right? I have to hold. Problem is now is if I brought Makiwaki in and end up um, taking obviously and Kuku out. The problem is with this is that I need to find a 0.1 because he's dropped in price, and he will probably go up in price by the time we thingy about. So I would probably have to do two transfers. I would probably have to sell Isak, and then it gives me another thing to think about, right? There isn't anyone in the forward radar that I'm like, yes, I absolutely want. You know, I've already got João Pedro. I don't think I need Welbeck, even though he's played quite well. I could potentially get in Havertz, but their next fixtures are not looking great. Um, you could go Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson's played 65 and 67, but I think he's a rotation risk. And as a forward, he's not great. Um, yeah, I mean, and then you're taking punts. I think at this point, and I just don't think that's too wise. If you're gonna make transfers, they got to be good transfers. They got to be informed. So for me, I'm a little bit out of it. But at the same time, if let's say I didn't use Nkuku, bearing in mind they got Palace and no, it's not Palace next, is it? Who they got next? No, they have got Palace next actually at home. You do feel like you need some Chelsea in, right? It's going to be very difficult. Uh, they got Isak, Spurs, then Wolves, Fulham, City. Yeah, it's going to be tough to figure it out. I could keep Isak in and take out maybe Eze, because Eze's certainly on the radar. He hasn't scored. He's got tougher fixtures coming up. I did expect him to score, but at the same time, do I want to? Pedro Porro's got a couple of fixtures coming up, but he's played well. He gets very advanced. I'm pretty happy with the defence. I don't really want to take the defence out. It's literally just Eze, Isak, keeper, and Cuckoo at the moment. But I'm really and Cuckoo's the absolute has to come out. So yeah, I don't know right now who I would have in there. Um, it's tricky. It's tricky. Let's go.
He is a fantastic option, and I did tweet about him going into the start of the season that if we knew he was nailed, I think he's an equally as good asset as Nkunku, but we didn't know that. And he didn't start game week 1, to be fair, so I was kind of right, but not, because he's come in with a hat-trick in game week 2. So I do really like Madueke. I just need, as a Chelsea fan, to consider a little bit exactly how nailed I think he is. When you do have potential that Palmer plays out on the right, you've got Felix, you've got Jackson,
Yeah.
you've got Neto.
Yeah.
You do have Nkunku,
Yeah.
who is going to play some minutes. So
Yeah.
there is a slight risk there, but I do think he looks, and you can't drop a player who's just scored a hat-trick, right? And Palace at home, Bournemouth away, West Ham
In theory.
away, does look pretty nice. He's still only 6.5 million, so he did drop in price last week, and then he rose again, so he's actually still the same price. So it's not that much of an investment if I do decide to go there. Absolutely one that I could look at. And then the other one is Brighton. So I spoke about João Pedro as a potential forward. I look at Mitoma and also Minte as well. Minte is quite an interesting one because it would free up money to go and potentially upgrade and get a Ollie Watkins. It would allow me to go and get a David Raya, a Martinez. It would allow a few other upgrades if I went for a cheaper midfielder. Now, I don't think Minte is as good an option as Mitoma, Madueke or Eze, but it is that what it allows me to do with the rest of my team. Again, Mitoma could easily be benched this week away at Arsenal, and then he'd play in the couple of fixtures after that. Right now, at the moment, if I had to say who I think I would buy, I know it's going to sound crazy, but Eze is still my number one. He's 90-minute man. He's on penalties and he's on set pieces. Buy him this week once he drops in price. Bench him against Chelsea and then have Leicester at home, United at home, Everton away is still probably my favoured route. Again, I can wait now until later on in the week. We can see the Chelsea fixture later this week. There's a few other Premier League teams playing in Cup qualifiers as well. So I'm not forced to rush my transfer, and things could easily change, and I'm not forced to make it at the moment, which is quite nice despite losing 0.1 on him last night. But Nkunku is almost certainly going to leave my team because he'd likely drop in price again this week, and currently Eze, once he goes to 6.9, is my favourite replacement. So, just wrapping up, as I realise this is a slightly longer transfer plans video as we usually have. Pretty happy with my team. There are a couple of positions. Up front is a transfer I expect to make at some point over the next couple of weeks. In goal, Henderson as well. Do I want to force it? If I'm going to sell him, it's probably to Martinez of Aston Villa, given how good their fixtures do look from this week onwards. And then the only other thing is Christopher Nkunku. His replacement this week, is it going to be a Minte at 5.5 or a Matoma? Am I going to go to Madueke and just go like for like of Chelsea and hope I get the minutes? Or is it going to be Eze? As I said at the moment, the current plan would be to go Eze once he drops in price, leave him on my bench for this week and have him for home fixture against Leicester. But I could easily just go Madueke. I think it's probably 60% I go Eze, 35% I go Madueke, and then 5% that I go with someone else. That's currently where I'm sitting, and I'm almost certain that he will leave before the deadline. Captain on Haaland again this week. It could end up on Saka, but I'm pretty certain after Haaland's hat-trick, he will just get the captaincy armband for me again this week. Let me know what you did. If you had Nkunku, have you sold him, and who did you buy? I'm not 100% certain on what I want to do, so I am interested to know who you're buying. Did you just go to Madueke because of his hat-trick, because of the upcoming fixtures, or did you go with someone else? Rodgers or Smith Rowe are the obvious ones as well, but the issue is I already own both of them, so I can't make that transfer.
You
So
cannot.
let me know what you did with him. If you've made other transfers already, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. There will be more videos this week. Make sure to subscribe for a reminder when they do go live, and I'll be back again very soon.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. For me, at the moment, what to do in my team? My team looks like AIDS. Compared to his, he thinking more Eze.
David once
I already have
moved Simon
Eze.
Cowell. Witnesses still can't agree which was the biggest arsehole.
Very good. Is there any other FPL content I can look at? I have no idea who he is. Also looking at Nkunku though, so.
Nkunku's gotta go, but he's dropped in price, and is there an obvious replacement for him? Welcome to the Gianni Battici YouTube show. Hope you're all well and you're looking forward to Game Week 3 already. Game Week 2 was a high-scoring one, and in today's show, we'll look at Game Week 2, but we'll also look forward and look at my transfer plans for Game Week 3 as well. If you're enjoying the show so far, you want to show support, please do hit that like button, but also subscribe to the channel. I've got a few dilemmas with my team, and Nkunku's one that clearly has to go, but I've also got big question marks over a few others, like Lewis Hall, for example. I still, for example, own Solanke. But look, 86 was a good score because I had a couple of players that scored big. So at the back, Trent on 6, Robinson was my transfer in for Kwanzaa on 7. Very happy with that, despite the singles from Henderson and Hall. In midfield, Gordon on 10 points. He matched Mo Salah in Game Week 2, guys. Anthony Gordon. Happy with that. Son 16 was huge. And by the way, Son and Saka now are equal on points. They're both on 18, Game Week 1 and 2. And many went Saka, I went Son. So I'm happy with that. He's matched him at least. And Nkunku's one is disappointing. Jota continues to get points. And Morgan Rogers, more on him later. Haaland with the captaincy on 34 and Isak on 2. It's a good game week score of 86 and we're happy there. But there's been a fair few learnings from the game week. I look at bonus points, I look at some standout players, and I look at the lack of obvious players. It's so important to know.
I've seen that.
Now, this is brilliant if you're a Porro owner. If you're even shopping for a defender, and Kante was super interesting against Arsenal. He was player of the match.
He was really good.
He comes away with 2 points. The progressive passing, as March from Mark's Stats Online, was so good to know. Not just the passing, his progressive carries. He is playing as like a second striker just behind Watkins. He's so involved. The fixtures are amazing. Points for Morgan Rogers are due. He's 5 million, guys, playing as a second striker. Oh, and he gets 90 minutes too. Yeah, there's a lot to like about Morgan Rogers at the moment. I also saw this great stat. We're going to see my team in a second, by the way. But I saw this from Nigel the Crab, who's one of our channel members. Guys, if you do want to know more about channel membership, you can check it out. Click the join button below. Nigel is in the WhatsApp, which was all squad tier below. Click the join button. So yeah, Nigel's sharing. Some of the players who are taking lots of shots, some of the attacking players, but also what percentage of their shots on target lead to goals. Bowen, every time he hits the target, he scores a goal. Smith Rowe the same, but they're not producing high shot volume. The guys that are shooting loads, well, Havertz, 6 shots in game week 1 and 2, but only 1 on target. Son, 4 shots, 3 on target. Yeah, and when they're on target for Son, 2 of the 3 go in. Really interesting just to see who's hitting the target and not. Madueke, 6 shots on 6 shots, 5 on target. No wonder he's scoring goals. Just a really interesting number. Saka, 4 of his 6 on target. And then you look at Eze, 12 shots.
Yeah.
4 on target, no goals. Eze has probably been the biggest points dodger so
It's
far.
unfortunate.
In FPL this
That's
season.
why I want
Owners
to
are
keep
very,
him.
very unfortunate.
Yeah, I need to keep
In terms
him.
of my watch list, and we'll go back to the Nkunku question.
Oh, I need to fart.
When we look at it, Nkunku has dropped in price. So all those 6.5 million midfielders, of which there's lots now, you know, you could even count Madueke, for example, if you want to stay within Chelsea. There's a lot of 6.5s that you probably can't reach now,
no, you can't
unless you've got money in the bank or you're making 2 transfers. Nkunku 6.4. So I think when we're selling Nkunku, unless you've already sold him, I haven't. I want information and time. Remember, he does play on Thursday night. You're shopping in a different price band. That's okay because there's still good 5 and 5.5 million mids. Rodgers, if you've not got him. Semenyo's caught my eye. Minter's caught my eye. Smith Rowe has been brilliant. I like these 3 guys, and we'll speak more as we see my team and what direction I might go in. But look, this is how I'm set up. I guess this is Yuki in that 11. But at the moment, I don't think it looks too bad, despite it's the goalkeeper. It's that 3rd defender. Or 4th defender. And of course, I still have Barco in my team. So potential transfers for me would be Lewis Hall out, and I can buy a 4.5 defender. We'll speak about the 4.5 defender options in a sec. Or Nkunku out, and I can buy a cheaper mid.
Yeah, I'm pretty set that I'm going to do that. There's no forwards for me right now where I'm like, I need them. And I'm really happy with my defence. Extremely happy. That's pretty insane, isn't it? None in the last game, all in the second game. I always get a bit like mind you, he didn't play much, but still, and he didn't play the full game. Wood, again, not playing the full game, didn't really do much in the second game. So for me, it's not consistent enough. Watkins. XG of 0.87. To show you what, because he missed, didn't he? Like 2 really good chances. No, it doesn't show you expected goals. It doesn't show you what he missed. His minutes are a bit shite though. It's a bit annoying. Yeah, it's probably going to be... Oh, mind you, what if I want to go Chelsea again? Oh, fuck me in the bum.